Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I show you the gameplay by Pier Luigi and Valerio. And the game starts with pawn to d4, knight f6, c4, d6, knight c3, and knight b to d7, and knight f3, and then the black continue with e5 and bishop g5, then bishop to e7, preparing for a castling. And in this position, the white has an edge, and the opening is called an old Indian defense with knight f3 but without the a4. Then the game continues with the pawn to e3 and the black castling, then bishop to d3, then c6 was played, and now the white castling, then the queen to c7 and h3 was played, and now the rook to e8 and bishop to h4, then the bishop to f8. And in this position, this is the first 10 move, and the white is slightly better with 4 of the pieces, the knight and the bishop, developed into the 16 square, and the pieces have more activity, while the black has 2 bishops still not developed and is not being active in the board of the game. And now the game continues with the queen to c2, and here the white prepare to attack the pawn and check the king. Then the black strengthen the position with playing a g6 pawn, and now the pawn to b4, trying to attack with the queen side, and b6 was played. Then the bishop to g3, and now the black played a5. Then the white play a3 and bishop to b7. Then the white play a c5, and now the queen back to d8. And this is a first fitting move, and the white is better in this position. Then the white continue to capture the pawn, c takes d6 and bishop takes d6, then the bishop to c4, trying to pin the king and able to capture the queen, the pawn, after the pawn at h is moved. So this pawn at h7 cannot be moved. If the move, then the queen will capture the pawn and check the king, as the pawn at f7 is being pinned by the bishop. So after this position, the black play queen to e7, trying to protect the pawn, and now the pawn at b takes a5 and the rook capture back. Then a4 was played, and the black takes the pawn, e takes d4. Then after this, the bishop just capture the bishop and queen capture, and this is the first 20 move, and the position become equal game after the action. So after this, the pawn takes d4, and at this position the black play a bishop a6 and to try to trade off the bishop. After this, the bishop just capture again, and the rook capture again, and now queen to b3 and knight to d5 block the diagonal. And here position is back to equal again after 23 move. So after this position, now the white try to play one of the great move to continue to attack and to have a strong attack with the knight. And here in the actual game, the white play a knight to e4. Here, this is one of the sacrifice, and if you capture with the rook, for example, then you have a queen to d3 and attack the rook and attack the rook at a6, and you have a fork. And so this is one of the trap. So example, if you capture the knight, then queen to d3, and after this the rook can just capture another pawn at this d4. Then the queen can just either capture the rook or capture this rook. So if you capture this rook, then the white will win one rook, while the black will get the and a pawn. So here the white will be a slightly better in the action. So that knight to e4 cannot be captured by the black. And after this, the queen play to queen b4 and trying to go for the exchange. And now the queen back to c2. Here is another interesting move, and trying to attack the pawn and protect the knight. And after attack the pawn, the queen will attack both of the knight, and the white has many activity in the game. And after this, the knight forced back to b8 to protect the pawn, and now the rook f to b1, and here to attack the queen, also attack the pawn here. And here the white is more active in the game. So after this, the queen back to e7, attacking the knight, and now the rook to e1 and strongly threatening with the knight discover check and also attack the queen, or you also can have a knight to d6 and attack the rook. So here the white has many activity to threaten the black in this game. And after this, the black play queen to c7 to avoid the direct discover attack from the white. And after this, the white continue to play the knight to e5 and keep on the attack and bring more pieces to attack the pawn and have many activity. And the knight also can come to a f6 and check the king and fork the rook. So after this, the black play rook a7, and now at this position, I give a couple of seconds to figure out how the white continue to play in this equal position and to keep on the attack. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer, and for those who like to enjoy the show, here are the interesting moves that the white continue to play, and the move is using the pawn to attack the h file. The pawn to move forward to h4, then to h5 and to capture the pawn, and also capture the pawn and to keep on attack on the h file, and the rook can continue to bring up to the board and win the game. So after this position, the white play a pawn to h4, and after this the black play king to g7, and then the white continue to play the pawn to h5 and to try to destroy the pawn structure of the black with the idea of capture the pawn. Then in the actual game, after this position, the black move f6, and this is a mistake that the black play, and now the white have a very brilliant idea of using the knight to capture the pawn, one of the sacrifice. And in this game, in the actual game, the black capture the knight. So after capture the knight, then after this position, the white is clearing winning, and here we have a very interesting move, which is a discover attack with the knight to d6 and attack the rook and able to fork the king and the queen, and now the discover attack for the queen to attack the pawn at g6. So after this, knight to d6 was played, and here in the actual game, if you capture the knight, capture the rook, then the rook will just capture back, and now any move from the white to prevent the pawn, and if the knight back to e7 to protect the pawn, then the knight will just go to e8 and check the king and win the queen. And in the actual game, after knight to d7, the black played a rook to g8 and trying to protect the pawn after move away the check. So after this, and you have very interesting move by playing knight to e8 and check the king and fork both the king and the queen. So after check the king, and the black resign the game. And if the game to continue in this position, if the rook capture the knight, then you have a mate in 2. So I will show you the queen will capture the pawn and check the king, and now the king move to these 2 diagonal, either to f8 or h8, and you will have a rook takes the rook, and you have checkmate with the back rank checkmate. Then the rook is being protected by the queen. And the same happen if you go to h8, then the rook will just capture again and the check the king. And with this, thank you.